Welcome to the review of the Morristown High School Sports Fall 2024 season. I'm Jack Ploshnik, and today we're going to be reviewing the fall sports and previewing the winter sports. I'm with senior sports producer Noah Gelly.
We have a lot to talk about today, so let's get the show underway, starting with football.
The football team this year went 4-6 and made it to the first round of the state playoffs. They were led by seniors Reed Donegan and Demetrius Mihakakalos. How do you feel the season went this year?
I think overall they had a good season. It was the best year in the Coach Flynn era for Morristown. And while they have some senior production leaving, they do have some juniors and sophomores, like both their quarterbacks, that will be hoping to gear up for a great season next year.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see the sophomore quarterback, Weston Elms, really grow into his role. He played really well this year, rotating in with James Sikowski, but I think he played really well when he was in. He made a lot of smart decisions, and mainly, he really built a duo with another sophomore this past year and junior next year, Josiah Brown. How do you feel he played?
Yeah, Josiah Brown is going to be a senior next year, and he was their leading receiver this year. So the jump from junior to senior is always a big one, so I expect him to be very good next year as Morristown hopes to build on their successful season.
Yeah, I definitely agree, and I expect a big jump in production next year, a positive record, and a deep run into the playoffs.
That's it for football. Now we're going to move on to the girls' volleyball team.
So the girls volleyball team went 19-7 this year, 9-1 in conference. Their only loss coming in the county finals. I mean, they had a great season, and I know they were mainly seniors, but what can we expect next year?
Well, first off, with this past season, Morristown had really high expectations coming in, and I would say they matched and maybe even exceeded some of the expectations that they were facing. They were led by a lot of seniors, and some of their best players, the twins, the Atkins twins, Gwen and Haley, both played great this entire season, leading them in multiple statistical categories, along with seniors like Bella Stephan, Ashley Padilla, all put in great seasons.
Yeah, I mean, Haley Atkins in particular had a fantastic season this year. She broke the school record for amount of digs in her high school career, which is fantastic. She's now over 500. Gwen played a pivotal role, and that's why they will both be going D1 this year. In addition, like you mentioned, Bella Stephan was a huge part of this team, coming in off the bench and really just keeping the offense up and running. But I think a really big thing to mention is that their team chemistry is really what got them through this season. They had huge wins over teams like Westfield. They played the #1 team in the state this year until Princeton took it over, Williamstown, really close because they trusted each other, they built off each other. And I just, how do you think that was developed in the offseason?
Well, I think they've been playing together for a long time, and it all kind of accumulated into this one season, and they were able to make a deep run and really do what they had kind of always been expected to do or hoped to do with their volleyball careers, and it was a great ending point for all the seniors because really their entire team was seniors other than 2 people.
Yeah, but the JV team had a pretty good year, all things considered, and I'm excited to see what they can do next year. I think the seniors could not have had a better send-off than what they had this year, and I'm really excited for things to come. So I think it's going to wrap it up for volleyball, and we'll move on to soccer. The boys soccer team this year went 14-5-3, which is the best season we've seen from the boys soccer team in a really long time. How do you think they accomplished that?
Well, they were led by some seniors this year, like most high school teams are. Harold Fuentes was their main goal scorer, and really Atticus Lindsley was a great shot stopper in goal. He barely let anything through, as they only allowed 31 goals all season as a team. So their average on defense, it was very good, led by Atticus Lindsley.
Yeah, so Atticus led a really strong defensive line consisting of the likes of like Jonah Sulkin and Kieran O'Neill, who are both seniors who performed really great this season, helped out by their defensive midfielder, Henrique Estevez. Altogether, they created a really strong defensive unit, which, as you mentioned, only conceded 31 goals in this season, which was huge. Atticus himself had 148 saves this year. I mean, that cannot be understated, and he's going to leave huge shoes to fill. What you said about Harold Funes, he was top 10 in the county as an attacker, just all around. He was top 10, number 9, I think. It was fantastic play from them, and Coach Salas really built this team over the last 4 years. How do you think they're going to be able to replicate that again next year?
Well, there might be some growing pains for the next season, but I think they have some players. Jermaine Campbell, only a junior, and he was their leading assist man. So they have some pieces, and they'll look to develop and learn, and I think they'll be in for a great season next year to build off this success and keep the program going.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see what Jermaine can do captaining this team next year, and I'm looking forward to a great season next year for the boys soccer team. The girls soccer team went 15-6-2 this year, which was another great season for the soccer program, obviously all around. They were led by seniors like Marin Fisher and Rosalina Lafreri, who will both be playing D1 soccer next year at Coastal Carolina and UConn respectively. How do you think this team played last year?
Well, it was a great performance, really all around, but the big thing to talk about was their two D1 players. Marin Fisher was their leading goal scorer and leading assister on the season, and then Rosalina Lafreri was also their second leading goal scorer. So a lot of production from their star players, which is what you need, and that's how they went on such a successful season.
Yeah, I definitely agree, and I think they really came in clutch in those hard, tough situations. You know, they had a lot of 1-0 wins, 2-1 wins, 3-2 wins, which if anyone plays soccer, you know those are the hardest wins to pull out. They're tough, they're gritty, they're physical, but the D1 players that needed to step up, they absolutely stepped up, and they played really well.
Yeah, Morristown this year was really good in close games. They had a lot of close wins this year, and that just shows how much they were able to grind out wins when, you know, a lot of other teams might not be able to.
Yeah, I definitely agree, but much like the boys soccer team, they've really built this core from 4 years ago. Who do you think is going to be able to step up next year?
Well, I think Grace Mertz obviously played a lot this year, and she'll probably help lead the team. And I think overall they have some pieces that will be able to fit in nicely and keep the program going for next year.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely think midfielder Dakota Carr will also be able to do really well. So I'm really excited to see how this team plays next year, and I think that's going to wrap it up for the soccer program. The girls' tennis team also had a great year. They've kind of been building up to it, but I'm really happy for them. They went 11-6, led by seniors Sukanya Vasudevan and Natalie Verga. How do you think they played last year?
I think it was a great team. They had some streaks here and there, ups and downs, but they put it together really at the end and made a pretty solid run into the postseason.
Yeah, I was really excited to see what they were able to do at the end. You know, they had a long streak of wins to really bring that record up. They started off a little slow, but I was really excited to see the seniors kind of step into that superstar role and really pick up the team and help out the younger players really grow. But the thing we're all looking at is that they've had the same core, much like the soccer teams, but even to a more extent, almost their entire varsity team was seniors. How are they going to cope next year?
Well, I think obviously you'll bring in some new players, and the success they had this year will attract some new talent. And really, the blueprint kind of laid out from this year's team, and I think it'll be a big team, like a big stepping stone for the program will be this year's team.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see what they do based off this blueprint, and I think that's going to wrap it up for the girls' tennis. The field hockey team, all things considered, had a pretty decent year. They're a very young team going 6-15, but there were only 2 seniors. Obviously, we've talked about a lot with these other sports this year how the seniors stepped up and they provided that star power, but this team couldn't really do that. So I think all things considered, they performed pretty well. What about you?
Yeah, they're obviously, like you said, a very young team, and with the young team, you'll have some growing pains, you'll have some problems, and I think it was a little difficult early on, but they really showed that they were headed somewhere, and that's important when you're a young team because you're really building for one climax year, and I think that's what they'll be able to reach with this youthful roster because of all the experience they gained from this season.
Yeah, you know, I was talking to some of the players before the season, and they were all, you know, pretty tempered expectations because they knew it was going to be a hard season being that young as they are, but I think they outperformed their expectations. They really have a sense of excitement that we haven't had in a while at Morristown. So I'm really happy. I'm excited to see leaders emerge like Maeve Holsey and Charlotte Helmer and Cora Humbert really pull through. I'm excited to see what this team can do. How about you?
Yeah, I think it'll be really exciting to see what they can accomplish in the future and if they can build off this season to reach like a really successful, deep postseason run and maybe get some trophies.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see the silverware they bring in, but I think that's going to wrap it up. We wish nothing but the best for the field hockey team. And congratulations to the cross-country team who won their only meet on the season. Can't wait to see what they do next year. That's going to wrap it up for a review of the fall season and our preview for the winter season. Congratulations to all the fall athletes that played their hearts out for the Morristown Colonials, and we're wishing luck to all the winter athletes. Thanks so much, Noah Gelly, for your valuable input. And if you want to catch more broadcasts, check WJSV 90.5, and make sure you're checking up on the YouTube channel regularly, Colonial Corner.